one of my favorite cities in the world, San Juan, Puerto Rico. This is Paseo de la Princesa. It was dedicated to the Princess of Spain at the age of 3 years old. She was gonna become the Queen of Spain after her father's death. So the governor wanted to actually dedicate that walkway to her, the Paseo de la Princesa. And at the end, there's a beautiful fountain right over there, one of the most emblematic artistic fountains in San Juan. And it was built in 1993, 500 years of anniversary of discovering Puerto Rico, New World. That's why the name of that fountain is Raíces, the roots. Because when we talk about Puerto Rico today, we have to mention three main cultures. African culture, Spanish European culture, and also Taino local Indian culture of Puerto Rico. So that represents these three races combining, making Puerto Rico today. So we're gonna start from that area by the walls of the city. This is the entrance of the bay of Puerto Rico. Actually, that bay gives the name to Puerto Rico, Puerto, the rich port. But it wasn't the first name of the island. In November 1493, when Christopher Columbus laid his eyes on that island for the first time, he baptized the island San Juan Bautista. Imagine you are Christopher Columbus and you can name the island. You are free to name anything. Why would you choose San Juan Bautista, San Juan? I mean, of course, San Juan is one of the important people of the Christianity, of course. But on the other side, that was the famous name of the family of Spanish dynasty in that time, and even the son and the daughter of the queen and the king name was Juan y Juana. I mean, that would be really wise choice for Christopher Columbus, and he baptized the island San Juan, but he didn't stay in the island that long because he was worrying about the man he left at his first voyage in Santo Domingo in Hispaniola, today the Dominican Republic. That's why he stayed 2 nights and then he went on his way to Hispaniola. But who found that city? It was Ponce de Leon in 1508. He came over here, and then but the first establishment of the city wasn't here. This is San Juan. It wasn't here. It was actually in the main Puerto Rico island. It's called Caparra. The first city, the first colony was established over there for several reasons. It was closer to the gold mines that they found in that time. But soon after, they thought it wasn't a good idea to establish a city because there was an inundation problem when it rains. A lot of people were getting sick, and of course, when they came over here, they were native people already. So Taino, they were calling themselves Boricua, and that island is Borinquen. So at first they had a good relation, but later on, soon after, the conflicts between two cultures started, unfortunately. So that's why, for several reasons, they decided to move the city from Caparra to that little island, because Puerto Rico is an island, yes, but San Juan as a city, it's also a little tiny island. So to come San Juan, you have to cross the bridges to be able to come to San Juan. So it was a perfect location, very strategic. In 1519, they started moving to that island. In 1521, San Juan was inaugurated as a new capital, new city of Puerto Rico. So it was really hard to rule the whole island. So that's why they divided into 2 sections. San Germán on the other side of the island, and then Puerto Rico. So that name, actually, particularly Puerto Rico, later on became the name of the island, the whole island, and then San Juan stick with only the city, the San Juan, the city. Yes, 1521, the city was established, and we will see what the first buildings they built at the first time. Of course, they started building the fortress we're gonna be seeing very soon, but I'm now getting closer to the gate of San Juan. So the city, the day they came over here, the Spanish started building fortresses. This is the most fortified city in all America. You can imagine, Puerto Rico is a small island. It's like 115 east-west miles east-west and 45 miles west north-south. Yes, size-wise it's not that big, but the location, it's very strategic. So if you want to travel to Europe, this is the last stop of Americas, and from Europe this is the first stop. That's why because of its strategic location, Spanish wanted to keep in their hand till the very end, the last day. So they kept building fortresses, fortifications, over centuries. The city was all surrounded by walls, and they had the gates, and some of the gates are still existing, but since the beginning that was one of the main important gates, because back in those days, how are you gonna come to Puerto Rico? By plane? No, of course, by sea. And this is the entrance of the city, the San Juan gate. And that gate dates to 17th century, 1636. Why? Because in that year they completed the walls. You see those walls are thick, high walls. This is the only one famous existing gate. There are other two gates, even though no one mentions those two gates. Actually, there is one, the entrance of the Perla, famous neighborhood of Perla. There's one gate over there, and one gate of Santa Maria, the cemetery. There's another gate over there, but these gates are not that famous. This is the most famous gate of San Juan, San Juan gate. So imagine, like 16th, 17th century, you come to Puerto Rico and you have to pass through. There's a custom right over there. Even the passport, the passport were invented for the navigators for the first time. So they check your passport, and then you are free to enter the city. So when you enter the city, that's your first location, direction. You go directly to the cathedral, the San Juan Cathedral, to say thank you, because it wasn't really sure that you will be able to make the journey back in those days, and many navigators died on the way. I stopped right over here because this is one of my favorite museums in San Juan. That was a house of Felisa Rincon de Gautier. Felisa Rincon, when you look at her life, she's like a movie. At the very early age, she lost her mother, and she has to take care of her brothers and sisters. That's why she started working in a pharmacy. She learned about the medicine, and then she said she also had a talent to fashion, so she learned how to design. She, for the first time as a woman, she inaugurated a shop in San Juan, a textile shop, and she made a good money. She became a businesswoman, but instead of spending her money for her own pleasure, she was spending her money for making the kids are happy. For example, she doesn't hesitate to sell her house to buy toys for the children for the Christmas. And in 1932, when the Puerto Rican government state decided to give the permission to women to vote and also participate the political life, she was one of the first 5 Puerto Rican women. She registered a political party, and she became the first mayor of San Juan, woman mayor of San Juan in 1946. It's about 14 years she governed the city. She built very modern hospital, schools, a lot of projects. But one of my significant things that she did, and it's very important for me. You know what? We are living in Caribbean, and it almost never snows here. And the children, even today, there are children that haven't seen the snow yet. So what she did, she carried a snow by plane to the island during the Christmas time for the first time. It happened around 1952. For the first time, the children of Puerto Rico will be able to see the snow and touch with their hands. Uh, that's why, I mean, she was touching the hearts. And she lived in that house. The house also used as a fashion design house also back in those days. She was one of the significant people of Puerto Rico, of San Juan. That's her house. It's a free to entry. And you have all the items that she used during her lifetime. And also, and the guides are telling you all about Doña Feliz Rincon de Gautier, one of my favorite people of Puerto Rico. So I'll be walking a little bit up to be able to see one of the fascinating views of the bay, and also La Fortaleza. As I mentioned, Puerto Rico is a Caribbean island, and there's no winter here. Always summer. It's a good thing, but sometimes you get very overwhelmed with the heat of the island, so you ask for something really cold. So in every neighborhood there's a house. They do simple, icy, flavory, like ice cream. It's called limber. But you don't go a shop to buy a limber. You go a house. You know the house, and they do and make sell them. So in that neighborhood, this is the house. Over 60 years they've been selling the limber. So simple, cocoa parcha, but so delicious. This is, for example, in that neighborhood, this is a famous limber house, right over here in front of La Fortaleza. So one of the best views of Fortaleza. Now I'm about to bring you over there. Is right here. Yes, it will be a little bit sun, but it's okay. Sun in the morning. It won't hurt for now. So the walls of the city, gate of San Juan, the bay, right over there, and that's the governor house. As a governor house, it has a strange name, Fortaleza, fortress. Why would you call a governor house a fortress? And when you look at the edge, actually, it looks like a fortress. Why? Because it wasn't built as a governor house at first. So once they came over here, they started moving the city over here. That's one of the main structures, building a fortress. And it was supposed to be a fortress. When the Spanish inspector came over here, they built it in 1521. But he inspected it. He said, who decided to build that fortress right over there? That's a really, really bad idea, because you want to defend the city, you have to defend the entrance of the bay, because the entrance of the bay is like a boca and it's very narrow. That's a perfect strategic location to defend the city. You need to build fortress at the entrance of the bay. So that's why they started building San Felipe del Morro over there, and that fortress became the governor house later on. And still in all America, still in use, the oldest governor house. Still the governor of Puerto Rico running the country from that house. And very recently there was an election, and the woman governor now is running Puerto Rico from that governor house. And it's open to public. All you need to do is just make a reservation, and they can show you all around inside. It's a very fascinating simple, humble, but very elegant way. It's definitely worth visiting La Fortaleza in San Juan. Of course, too many battles because it was a charming city. It was a very strategic city. All European powers they wanted to take control, and British attempt three times, and the last one in 1798. This time they came really strong. They came a lot of soldiers, a lot of battle ships. But this time, this is one of the urban legends. This is bishop of the city, and he called everyone to defend. Everyone, not only soldiers or men, everyone, children, women, families, everyone. So they participated with their torches actually in the middle of the night. With those torches, they were running all over. So in that case, is psychologically, British actually got scared because they thought there were a lot of people willing to defend their city. We don't know it was because of that or they defended very well because of the strong fortifications, but British couldn't take the city in their last attempt. That's why this is a rogativa. It's really hard for me as a Turkish to pronounce it, but that's what represents that legend in 1798. Of course, we are in the Caribbean. Of course, there's a Rome over here also. Yeah, Bacardi factory on the other side of the bay in Catania, the largest Bacardi factory. But not only Bacardi, Puerto Rico has two also main brands also, Don Q in Ponce and Barrilito, which is my favorite in Catania also. Barrilito, it's a very good rum, and you can visit all those factories as a tourist. They do tours. It's one of the most famous attractions in Puerto Rico also. So this is the beginning of Calle Sol. The good thing of San Juan, you can walk everywhere. This is a city on foot. You can explore everything. Sometimes there's a little uphill, downhill, but it's not that bad. It's not really bad. So if you have time, taking a rest, you can really enjoy San Juan on foot. And right behind of me, that's one of the first buildings in the city, Casablanca. It was supposed to be house of Ponce de Leon. So the history of Ponce de Leon is interesting because he is the one who established the city, the colony in Puerto Rico, the first governor. But he didn't get to stay in that title very long for some reasons. Of course, Christopher Columbus, when he made a deal with the king and the queen, the deal was like that: wherever I discover, it'll be the territory of Spanish kingdom, but I'll be in charge. That was the deal. So 1506, Christopher Columbus died. Yeah, he died, but the deal was still on the table, and his son, Diego Colon, said, I should be the one who is in charge. And King Ferdinand, Fernando, I'm sorry, he couldn't resist, and he had to give the administration of America. But when we talk about America in that time, do not imagine like Argentina, Mexico. No. At the first, they were in Cuba, Hispaniola, Dominican Republic, Haiti, and Puerto Rico. Well, that's what we're talking about for the first time. So when he became the governor, he wanted to replace Ponce de Leon with his men. So that's why he didn't get to stay in that title. But the king doesn't want to upset him also. He said, you're the discoverer. I'll give you men, I'll give you a ship, go discover in other places. And he did. He discovered Florida, one of the famous important states of United States today, Florida. He gave that name because Florida means a lot of flower gardens. When he got over there, there were a lot of flowers, so that's why he felt like giving that area that name, Florida. And but later on, when actually in the battle of the native people over there, he was wounded by a poisonous arrow. So he went back to Cuba and he couldn't survive. He died over there. He was actually buried in Cuba. But later on, his grandson, Ponce de Leon II, said, I'm going to move my grandfather from there. And he actually brought his leftovers from Cuba to San Juan. There's a cathedral of San Juan. As you can see, there's an altar, sarcophagus of Ponce de Leon still here in Puerto Rico. That was the house. The family kept the house 250 years. But later on, they decided to sell it to the Spanish state. Today, that house is a museum. The $6 entrance fee, and you get to see the White House, Casablanca. It's really nice, especially the garden. Garden is also so nice, and you get to see you feel like you're in Spain or Andalusia. Why you feel like? Because Spain also has Leon, also Cadiz, different parts and different cultures. Why Andalusia? Because the first time the Spanish were coming out of from Andalusia to the New World, from Sevilla, Andalusia. That's why you see more Andalusian Spanish touch in those buildings and everything that you feel in here. So the Calle Sol is actually walking towards to. Actually, I want to do the shortcut over here to San Sebastian Street, because San Sebastian is also gives a name to famous festival. In 1952, the priest of a church, to get more donations, he came up with the idea. He said, we're going to prepare a festival. We're going to call it San Sebastian Festival. So that humble festival in 1950s today is the most famous festival of Puerto Rico. If I'm not mistaken, second week of the January, at 4 days, starts Friday, the day before Jueves, when you're speaking two languages sometimes. Now I can't remember Jueves in English. After Wednesday to Sunday, 4 days. It's a beautiful event, well organized. Thousands of people come over here because there are stages, all kind of music. Because if you ask me, what is the most famous of Puerto Rico, I tell you, without any hesitation, the music. This small island actually administrates the music of the world, of all the world. From Japan to Alaska, everyone is listening. The kids, children from that island. If I start telling the names, I can't start. I cannot finish. Bad Bunny, Luis Fonsi, Daddy Yankee, Ricky Martin, Jennifer Lopez, all the clubs and discos, we were listening to their music, the beaches. So that's why Puerto Rico, of course, the salsa, bachata, reggaeton. There are stages, and also plena bomba is also influenced by African culture. It's really nice to see the music, the diversion of the music, and good musicians. So in that time, San Sebastian Festival, the whole San Juan is blocked. No cars, thanks God, only for people. It's definitely worth coming during the San Sebastian in January, because January most of the world actually in North Hemisphere is in winter, but here is a perfect time to enjoy all year round. You can enjoy like a short t-shirt, that will be enough. And actually we're getting to the most visited part of Puerto Rico today. This was the entrance of Casablanca that I just mentioned, but I wanted, that was the bastion, because everything you see here, all the buildings, military intention, because once again Spanish didn't want to lose that island for its strategic location. So that's why till the very end they built, this is military hospital, this is military barrack, thousands of soldiers, and huge military barrack, and it was built in 19th century. You can imagine. This was a silo, but today of course they don't have the military intention anymore. This is a fine art university right here. That this is a nice like a like the art, like the dance, modern dance they're teaching. It's a good place. There's a school for the kids to teach art, and there's a Museo de las Americas in Cuartel Balaja. It's one of the nicest museums also, because it doesn't only tell you the Puerto Rico, the whole America, all the cultures chronologically. It's really nice. It was a idea of Ricardo Alegria that we're gonna get to know him very soon. But before Ricardo Alegria, let me tell you about that gentleman right over here. Eugenio Maria de Hostos, Ciudadano de America, American citizen. Why someone gets that title? And that statue represents, you see the kids, children, because he said, if you want to create a good future, we have to educate our children. Maria de Hostos was a professor of professors, and he actually dedicated his life to travel all Americas, Spanish-spoken Americas, and convince the universities to accept women, because still in 20th century the universities were not ready to receive women in their system. Actually, he convinced some of those countries like Chile, La República Dominicana, Dominican Republic. Actually, that's why, thanks to him, the one by one they started accepting the woman. He also challenged to also another dedication himself to support normal education, because many years the education was under rule of the religion, and he said we still have to support, we have to separate education from religion also, normal education. So that's why Maria de Hostos is one of the important. He's from Puerto Rico, but he actually, even though born from here, he's important for all Americas, for many countries. Maria de Hostos. So I'm walking towards one of the most visited area of Puerto Rico, Al Morro, but there's enough sun, there's enough rain. It just rained today also. That's why you see everywhere is a beautiful tropical forest everywhere. Today it's like 65% of Puerto Rico is a forest, and there's a reason for that. Why is that reason? It was less back in those days, till 1950s. Why? Because the income of that country was agriculture. It was important, exported of sugarcane, coffee. But in 1940s, with the bootstrap movement, Puerto Rico chose another direction to industrialization, especially the pharmaceutical industry. Almost today, almost all labels are actually fabricating here in Puerto Rico. That's why today the main industry of Puerto Rico is still pharmaceutical fabrics industry of Puerto Rico. Afterwards, tourism. Today, agriculture, unfortunately, is only 10% of Puerto Rico. What's consuming is actually only producing here is 10%, 90% from tomato to all the products of, coming from other countries. That's why it's also affecting a little bit the prices normally. Uh, that's why you see those tropical forests. I was gonna say, these are tropical almonds. It's a favorite fruit of the birds. Right over there, because usually people don't touch. It's eatable, but people don't lost their that habit collecting the fruits from the tree. Actually, we prefer to buy from groceries. We want to pay for it. That's why the the birds are still getting them. Uh, you can see the tropical almonds all over the island. Ricardo Alegria, one of also my favorite people of Puerto Rico. Ricardo Alegria, he was a writer, archaeologist. He did excavations in Taino establishments. He was an intellectual person, educated person. And what he did actually, because Puerto Rico, 400 years under rule of Spanish culture. And in 1898, Spanish-American War, it became American territory, sovereignty. And when the Americans came over here, of course, I'm not saying bad or, I don't say that, but it's different. Different. At the first approach, they kind of made some mistakes that later on they understood, and then they gave up those mistakes. For example, those fortifications, when they lost their use of fortification in 1961, they converted that area as a golf course, baseball court, Olympic swimming hall, and even the commercials that you see in YouTube still exist. You can see if you want to travel to Puerto Rico in San Juan, you get to play golf right next to ruins of fortifications of Spanish fortresses. Ricardo and the famous old houses today were in bad condition, and they said, we're gonna tear them down, we're gonna build the modern houses, we're gonna modernize that city. But Ricardo Alegria said, don't do it. This is a heritage, and instead of destroying and building modern ones, we actually keep whatever we have. So they listened to him. They listened to him. That's why we should thank to him. If we come to San Juan, we see those colorful houses, beautiful structure. This is one of the main people that actually made it come true. He also worked in to make a UNESCO World Heritage List to add those fortifications. There are two famous fortifications on the list: El San Felipe del Morro y San Cristobal. 16th and 17th century fortresses, thanks to Ricardo Alegria. That's why he get to have his statue right over there, looking at the sea, the city from here. One of my favorite people of Puerto Rico. Also, San Felipe del Morro. Of course, Spanish inspector came. They said that was the wrong place. We should build a new one right over there, because this is the entrance of the bay. And not only that one, there's another actually smaller size on the other side, because it's like the entrance had there's two parts of the entry, and there's another fortress, and this is the largest one, of course. And they started building it in 16th century, but takes centuries to complete it today. That's why it has a six levels actually. When you get the first level in 1535, they started, so you can see, and then later on every century, up to from the sea level is about 140 feet long, tall. From here you don't see very tall, but from the other side, where they usually actually the enemy approaches, is very strong fortification. So you might wonder, the rest of the island actually it's naturally protected. You cannot. There's a lot of riffles over there. It's really hard to actually get on the land with the ship naturally. So that's why they built huge fortification in that area, and over 400 years it was the main defense system of Puerto Rico. But unfortunately, the new technology, it couldn't stand with those walls, even though they're so powerful. The Spanish-American War in 1898, about 109 days of bombarding, they couldn't stand. So these military barracks, the fortification, as you can see, the tower over there is a different architectural style, because during the war that lighthouse was destroyed. It was later on rebuilt, like that part of the fortification also, after Spanish-American War. So, but they did their actually job for 400 years. There was a really good defensive system of Puerto Rico. When you have like 5,000 people inside, you can fight to up to 100,000 people. These walls are giving you that advantage. So today, it's a popular area for kids, especially weekend. They're like the kite. There's always wonderful wind from the Atlantic Ocean right over there. That's why today is really early, but they will, of course, it's Monday. But during the weekends, there's a full of children in here. And another interesting fact about Atlantic Ocean, we're looking at the Atlantic Ocean right over there. The deepest part of Atlantic Ocean is right over there. If you go 200 miles that way, you see the Everest is upside down. It's 5,300 miles deepness, 500 miles of length, Puerto Rican Trench. So this is really the deepest water of all Atlantic Ocean right over there. And in the migration time, you get to see the whales are passing by from the land. You can, if you're lucky in that day, you might see the whales also from here. So this first part that I think I've talked enough. Of course, you cannot finish San Juan with a couple of minutes. We will continue, but for now I'm gonna take a little break right over there.